Hello and welcome to Rappler Talk. Ako po si Ralph Rivas. Ngayon ay pag-uusapan natin ang sitwasyon sa transportasyon 1 year into the Marcos administration. Kasama natin ngayon sa studio si TJ Batan, DOTR Undersecretary for Planning and Project Development, si Mr. Alex Uy ng Land Transportation Office, the spokesperson of LTO, and Brian Ko, the Manila International Airport Authority, OIC, the interim head of NAIA. So welcome and welcome to Rappler. Ayun na nga, over a year na tayo into the Marcos administration. Kumusta? Historically, out of all the sectors, talagang intense talaga yung scrutiny ng publiko pagdating sa transportation. So kumusta? How's the experience so far? Wants to start?
Yeah, siguro sa air sector, but we can say that since the administration started, we've been talagang the growth in air traffic since COVID-19, yun talaga yung story na nangyari dito. The uptick in terms of the demand, napaka-sharp ng increase in demand for air travel. That's why the system is trying to cope with that, of course, the sharp increase, but at the same time, we know that we're capacity constrained here in Manila. We're actually almost 100% to pre-pandemic in terms of the number of flights and passengers that we're processing. Last year, we ended at around 32 million passengers for NAIA alone. This year, we're going to end at 43 million, and by next year, 47 million, beating the 2019 figure. So talagang nakikita niyo na tuloy-tuloy yung pagdami ng mga gumagamit ng ating paliparan, especially ng NAIA. That's why we also have several programs in place para malutas natin yung mga perennial issues na meron tayong hinaharap.
On the perennial issues, babalikan kita, sir, mamaya. But ito, Sir TJ, you were with the Duterte administration before handling rails. So anong experience now transitioning into the Marcos administration? What are the similarities, differences? What helped? I mean, there were projects na hindi natuloy ba? Tinutuloy ba ngayon?
Ralph, siguro one of the things na magandang manotice in the last 12 months is yung instruction ni Pangulo noong SONA noong July. Essentially, sabi ni President Marcos Jr., number one, sabi niya tapusin yung mga projects that are ongoing. So marami tayong mga proyekto na itinutuloy at maraming nagpo-progress. And pangalawa, sinabi din ni Presidente na build better more. And isa nga dun sa sinasabi namin is pag sinabi mong build better, di ba, tatanong, how are you building better? So that you can build more. And tingin ko, isa dun sa mga distinct na sagot doon sa question na yon is yung instruction na rin ni Pangulo mismo na continue with the projects. Kasi in DOTR, sa transport sector, na sabi mo nga, one of the common hot seats, yung malalaking proyekto na kailangan para tugunan yung malalaking problema, kadalasan it takes more years than there are in one administration. Kaya napakaganda na isa yon doon sa mga naging instruction sa Pangulo. And of course, build more. Siguro nakita natin noong February, March, naglabas nung unang list Marcos administration ng 194 infrastructure flagship projects, and almost 40% of that list are transportation projects. So, ganda. On the one hand, tuloy yung mga ongoing projects. On the other hand, napakadaming bagong proyekto na upcoming pa in this Build Better More program of the Marcos Jr. administration.
Now, Mr. Uy, anything to add to that?
Well, for LTO, we were faced with a lot of problems for the last year. But with the direction of the Secretary himself, we were able to find solutions for the problems. One is license, and then second for the plates. So currently, we will be having a lot of changes and improvements to give good, better, and public service by the next 2 months. So expect that also.
Yeah, so siguro simulan natin doon sa lisensya.
Yes, sir.
Ano ba, ano nang nangyayari? Yung delays, ano ba, may shortage ba? Anong sitwasyon?
I'll go first for the license. The license, basically, we have done the procurement. It is also awarded to the supplier, and the delivery will start on August. No? But currently, the license is valid until by October. So sa lahat po ng may lisensya ngayon na magre-renew or expired, hanggang October po yan. So by August, when the license arrives, papagawan po natin lahat sila ng lisensya na plastic card, and then that will be claimed in all the licensing offices or DLROs na makikita sa mga malls. So we have a solution for that already.
So ano bang nangyari? Paano nagka-delay? Ano bang may shortage ba? Saan banda?
I think that was just the past few administrations, no? I think that the problem rose from the bidding, the process on the bidding. Hindi siguro at that time hindi ho nagkaroon ng live bid. Back in last year, I think that was August. So medyo na late po, kaya nagkaroon po tayo ng mga series of backlogs in terms dun sa licenses at naabutan po tayo. But again, sabi ko nga po, because of the Secretary's initiative, no, we were able to thresh that out for nag-award na po kami ng winning bid, ng winning supplier, and then magsasubmit na po sila by August ng cards. We can address that. Lingid sa kaalaman ng iba rin na sinasabi na mawawalan tayo ng card for the next or until the end of the year. So pinabilisan po ng Secretary ang pagpapadala ng license cards by August. So ma-address po natin yan.
So how do we avoid na moving forward? Ano ba just to close the chapter,
Yes.
ano ba, is the shortage real, artificial? Ano bang
The license, actually, there is a shortage right now. Again, this will be addressed by August. August onwards, mawawalan na po tayo ng mga problema sa shortage. And we will be able to supply all those who have renewed by paper. And then sabi ko nga po, valid po to hanggang October ang lisensya niyo po ngayon. Yes, sir.
well, prior to this post in the LTO, you were with the private sector,
Yes, sir.
correct? So tell us a little experience naman transitioning into
Well,
government.
Government, basically, as I always say nga kay Secretary, it's amazing. No? It's a challenge for every day na magbigay ng public service. It's difficult. But in the end of the day, it's very fulfilling, no? Na nakakapagserbisyo tayo, a give back to the Filipinos. Yun ang way of thinking and ethos namin ngayon in LTO. So, it's difficult, but it's doable. There are solutions for a lot of problems on hand. You just have to take it one day at a time.
Yeah, kasi I asked, kasi kapag sinabing LTO, yung coverage usually ng media is, the angle is always mostly corruption.
Yes, sir.
Diba? So, how do you deal with that?
I think the corruption basically, hindi naman sinasabi naging norm, no? But the corruption basically starts from no policies at all, no policies in place. Wala tayong fail-safe on check and balances, no? But we have started already implementing systems in LTO, most especially nung nagkaroon kami ng plate management system to address the backlog of plate numbers, to address as they say, na wala nga tayong plaka, republika na walang plaka. So ngayon pa lang, sinasabi ko by August, masusupply na natin lahat ng plaka, backlog, including na po ito yung mga plaka na replacement plates back in 2015. So we all have that systems being installed right now, so we can address the need for the Filipinos, motoring public, na masupply natin ang kanilang mga plaka. That's one. No? Second, policy making na in line, most especially from the agency to the mother unit, LTO to the DOTR. We're realigning all policies right now, no? Para so at least meron tayong line of thought na tama, meron tayong check and balances. Yeah.
So, ano ba, kung pupunta kami sa LTO and do processes for our licenses or whatever, hindi na kailangan ng fixer.
Yes, actually, we've established the licensing process back in 2016 through the driver's license renewal offices. They are all located in malls, no? There are 70 DLROs, as we call it. We always look at this quick and efficient, no? Ang sabi ko nga, ang publiko pa nag-renew dun sa mall, 30 minutes is the longest. And we can assure on that, no? Now, in terms dun sa mga naririnig natin ng mga fixer, we are crafting a policy in terms dun sa operations and para maiwasan natin na magkaroon ng fixers, including fixers within and fixers outside. Yes, sir.
And of course, again, as mentioned by USEC TJ, no, kapag an issue on transition, kailangan may proper handover
Yes,
and whatever.
definitely in all aspects of
Yeah,
agencies.
and I think that's also the issue where the sticky issue on part of the LTO, correct?
The data gathering, we've finished it for a year already. So I started last year and we did all the data collection, data gathering. And so right now we are actually on the implementation based on the data that we have. So yun nga po, sabi ko nga, we've installed systems, one of which is the plate management system. For the licensing, we have an upcoming, which I will disclose later on. No? It will be very convenient to all the public.
So this system, ano ba? Wala siya before? This is a new one? Or?
Well, the system was there. Most probably, it was just a matter of proper implementation and training. No? So right now, we are actually in the implementation stage. The training has been done for the last 2 weeks. So that's why I'm very confident enough that by August, no, masasagot ko lahat ng backlog ng lisensya at saka ng plaka. Yun po ang target ni Secretary.
Now, from the issues of license plates, tumalon naman tayo sa aviation. Of course, the issue really is the flight delays. So what's really the big picture here? Kung anong cause and are we really that helpless na supply chain issue itong mga flight delays na i-experience ng mga airlines? Ano bang, or is this infrastructure related?
Well, what we can just say that kahit dumadami naman na yung number of flights and passengers that are using NAIA, we can see that during the early part of the year, from January up until mga May, this is the peak season actually when we entered Holy Week. Mataas actually yung on-time performance natin sa NAIA. So even at, let's say, the Holy Week itself, we were at around 85 to 90% on-time performance for all our airlines operating in NAIA. And the average for that month, we were at 75%. And then the next month, around 80% for the whole system. So it means kapag everything's in place, like all of the resources, as I was saying, the aircraft, the people that are supporting flight and ground operations, the government agencies, that's customs, immigration, quarantine, MIAA, if all of those factors are in place, wala naman tayong nakikitang malaking problema in terms of supporting the flight schedule that is required so that we can transport all of the people that are going in and out of Manila. So what happened here in the past, where we noted there was a drop in on-time performance around end of May up to mid-June, doon na nagkaroon ng issues yung mga airlines na sinasabi ng Cebu, like Cebu Pacific and PAL, that they're having issues in terms of supply chain sa mga engines nila on their newer aircraft, the 321 neos. And of course, the other spare parts that are necessary. Spare parts for aircraft, the aircraft industry is in demand globally because of the restarting of air travel, di ba? Imagine 2 years on the ground yung mga aircraft and then all of a sudden all of them are being activated at the same time. But for that 2 years, even the factories that were producing these spare parts were either shut down or in limited production. So naghahabol ngayon yung buong industriya. Pero the message that we sent to the airlines is we should mount a schedule that they can support operationally. Hindi tayo papayag na magka-cancel na lang or magde-delay ng mga flights on the day itself na makakaperwisyo sa ating mga pasahero. That's why they've responded to that already. So after June 12, we've already seen a very sharp increase again in terms of the on-time performance. Gumaganda na po ulit ang OTP natin dito sa Manila. Of course, later we can discuss about the red lighting alerts. That's another factor that could be uncontrollable or outside because it's a weather-related issue. But as far as those internal factors are concerned, the largest contributor was maintenance. So the maintenance issues in terms of nagkakaroon sila ng aircraft, what they call this AOG, aircraft on ground, yung mga nasisirang aeroplano. So right now, they're employing a tactic in terms of they're trying to reduce the number of flying hours that they have per aircraft para mas lumuwag-luwag yung schedule nila at magkaroon sila ng leeway para makapag-recover sa mga delays. So they're also having live spares, mga 1 aircraft for every 20 na meron silang hot spare.
Yeah, but that's also the thing. If the demand is high and we're, the solution is to limit the flights to, I mean, that's not, ano tawag dito, the full economic benefit of revenge travel, di ba?
Yes.
We're not reaping the benefits of it. So how do we, what's the long term?
Well, right now, in terms of the booking levels, mataas pa rin naman yung number of passengers that are using are still beating the pre-pandemic numbers, especially for the domestic market. Sa international, we're still waiting for the full potential or opening of markets like China, Japan, and Korea. The numbers are not yet back. So, pero sa domestic, they're able to support it naman. So it's more of just spreading their schedule. Instead of lahat min-mount nila at the same time, let's say during the daytime, we're trying to explore on how they can further optimize their schedule by mounting some of the flights at nighttime, sa madaling araw, para hindi mas strain yung ating current limitation ngayon in terms of the number of movement that we can handle here at NAIA.
Now, another hot issue is the rehabilitation of NAIA. So, what has been discussed so far na? Or what can you discuss so far? Medyo scarce yung detalye in the both in the solicited and the unsolicited proposals.
Well, maybe before Yusek TJ can share about the PPP, what we can say that even without the PPP, the DOTR ever since last year has instructed the MIA to push through with the programs to rehabilitate. Kasi we won't wait for PPP. Definitely, a lot of equipment has to be changed, upgraded, so that we can support the growth of air travel, diba? So we have around more than 5.5 billion in terms of projects that were implemented since ongoing implementation right now that will address issues about our critical systems, how we can optimize the schedules, diba? And recently we also concluded the STAR program, yung terminal reassignment program, which optimizes or increases the capacity of terminals like T2. So marami naman tayong ginagawa na on our own, even if the PPP process is still in the pipeline right now, which Yusek TJ could share more about that.
Sige. Siguro, Ralph, balik lang tayo ulit doon sa SONA ni Pangulo noong July. Isa doon sa mga mapapansin natin doon is yung recognition of the potential ng private sector to help us out in our infrastructure development. Both in terms of financing, kasi nga because of the pandemic, all around the world, the debt to GDP levels, for example, the fiscal position of all governments were not the same as before. And also to utilize yung expertise and capabilities ng private sector. And si Secretary Bautista has said na yung transformation that we want to implement in our transportation sector is to elevate it to global standards. So tinignan natin, some, if not most, of the biggest and busiest airports in the world are being operated by professional private sector operators. And kaya talagang tinitingnan natin in the last 11 months, in the last 12 months, yung PPP natin para sa rehabilitation, capacity expansion, and modernization of NAIA. So siguro narinig natin na ngayon ang question na lang is paanong PPP? So malinaw ang direktiba ni Pangulo, malinaw ang direksyon ni Secretary. Nandun na lang tayo sa paano natin siya i-execute. So we've heard about the unsolicited proposal, we've heard about the solicited proposal. So yung solicited PPP natin was submitted to NEDA noong June 1 of this year. And yung unsolicited proposal was received by the department and by MIAA noong April 27. So merong mga procedures, merong mga timelines na nakalagay sa ating BOT law at sa implementing rules and regulations, pati sa guidelines ng ICC. At yung mga procedures na yan ang sinusunod natin sa pag-process pareho, sa pag-process ng unsolicited proposal at sa pag-process ng solicited proposal. Now, yung ICC, yung Investment Coordination Committee natin, as well as yung NEDA board natin, isa sa mga ginagawa nila ay ang mag-evaluate ng mga proposals coming from implementing agencies at yung evaluation process na yan ay currently ongoing. So, in the next few weeks, we will move forward and progress dito nga sa ating paano ipi-PPP ang NAIA. And we are going to, of course, make announcements as that goes along.
Now, of course, this is still all subject to bidding. That's why medyo delicate yung mga, I mean, we can't really go into the details. I mean, I asked several times on several officials already kung paano. But bulk of the, money that's needed, saan mapupunta? Would you be able to, break down? Or at least, man lang, the bulk kung saan, anong pagkakagastusan for the rehab?
Siguro one very important thing in a PPP is this. Pag nag-PPP tayo, ang requirements natin is level of service. Kailangan mabilis yung bilang, yung time. For example, from the time sa curbside, diba? Pagbaba ng pasahero, go through check-in, go through security checks, go through immigration, merong prescribed na performance indicator para dyan. The other way around, halimbawa baggage. First baggage, dapat lumabas sa conveyor natin within a certain amount of time, last baggage within a certain amount of time. So yan yung mga tinatawag nating performance specifications, mga outputs na kailangan natin. Yan ang requirements natin in a PPP. Okay? Sa PPP, hindi natin sinasabi na magtayo kayo ng bagong terminal. Hindi natin sinasabi na mag-install kayo ng 10 bagong security checks. Hindi ganon. That's why we say na we rely on the expertise of the private sector because to achieve yung improvements natin in the level of service na tinatawag, the experience, the passenger experience, there are different ways of doing it. And whoever comes up with the most efficient way to deliver that service level, siya yung mananalo sa bidding. So, on the question, saan mapupunta? Saan mapupunta yung investment? Number one, lahat ng investment manggagaling sa private sector. So, walang subsidy, walang funding that will be used from the national government or even from NAIA for this PPP. All of the investments will come from the private sector. And syempre, number one na paggagamitan yan is improvement of level of service. So everything from yung throughput time, yung time from, again, pagbaba mo hanggat nandun ka sa gate, to other convenience, measures of convenience. There should be enough number of seats, the air conditioning, the lighting even should be at a certain level, your restrooms should be maintained at a certain level. So all of these output requirements are in our PPP.
So what's the big picture ba since there's efforts to rehabilitate NAIA and then you have up and coming airports and you have Clark. So kung magka-ooperate to sabay-sabay, anong itsura? Kailangan pa ba natin ng NAIA or ano bang what's the big picture here kung ganun nga yung scenario that all these airports will be erected?
Well, siguro, first of all, in the short term, at least in Metro Manila, NAIA lang talaga. Because Bulacan Airport, the first phase is expected to be operational in 2027, 2028, 2023 pa lang. So, yung reprieve na kailangan natin, yung additional capacity na kailangan natin can really only come from NAIA. Clark is of course available, but it's 100 kilometers away. So we're already seeing more and more flights coming out of Clark. We're already seeing more and more passengers from Metro Manila going to Clark. But still, it's 100 kilometers away. So the Clark Airport is designed to handle Central Luzon to Northern Luzon traffic. So it will always have its market to serve. But for Metro Manila, we need an airport, we need airports, and in the short term, we only have NAIA. So whatever we can do to rehabilitate it, to expand its capacity, we are already doing. So MIA is already doing what they can. The PPP is coming next. And in the medium to the long term, the Bulacan Airport is ongoing construction. Site development is 70% completed. Construction works will begin next year. And of course, we also have Sangli Airport, which is a PPP project of the Cavite government, and that is also moving forward. They are coordinating with the CAAP, the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, and with the department on the direction forward for that airport.
So now na wala pa yan, we have to deal with all these issues on delays. And one of the issues that's, na pinag-uusapan din ngayon is the red lightning alerts. So, give us the technicals on that.
Especially as we enter towards the rainy season.
Yeah.
Diyan yan eh. During the transition from summer to rainy season, dun talagang most prominent itong mga episodes of thunderstorms within the airport. So, for context, the red lightning alert was designed to protect our ground personnel para iwas ng aksidente, injuries, or death due to lightning. So this was instituted many years ago. So this is also being implemented in several airports around the world. So what happens is you have this radius, let's say in Manila, what we're implementing right now, there's a 5-kilometer radius where you call a red alert if meron thunderstorm system within that 5 kilometers. Then you stop all of the ground activities. So it means all of the people have to take shelter para maiwasan yung risk of getting electrocuted. So for Manila, it's 5 kilometers this year, but last year, it was 9 kilometers. So as a first enhancement, dahil nakikita nga natin na medyo humahaba ang mga delays or impact ng red lightning operations, kaya ginawa natin yung radius natin from 9 to 5 kilometers. So this year, we're observing that 5 kilometers and how it plays out operationally. So what we're seeing in terms of an impact to the on-time performance, sometimes it contributes to around 5% of the delays in a day. But if it's bad, minsan nagiging 3 hours yung red lightning alert natin, it could be as high as 10% with some spillover effects the next day. Madalas na nangyayari kasi ito hindi sa umaga eh. Usually sa hapon, kung kailan paggabi na, lumalamig na yung average temperature, then meron pang init, doon nagkakaroon ng mga thunderstorms. So, just like last June, 15 days of June had a red lightning alert. So it means half of the month nagkaroon tayo ng red lightning alert. So it's almost on a daily basis, di ba? So ang pinaka-importante lang dito is how you communicate with the community, the airlines, the stakeholders, para when we tackle the red alert, pinag-uusapan na agad, mukhang a few minutes away or an hour away, we might have a red alert. So that airlines, ground handlers, the other agencies can proactively manage what they can para kung kaya na mag-push back nito aeroplano, makapag-depart na. And for the arriving flights, it's also important for us to communicate to the passengers bakit nagkakaroon ng red lightning alert. So we're working with the airlines as well as how to communicate to the passengers na bakit tayo may red alert, ano yung impact nito, at ano rin yung ginagawa ng mga airlines at ng airport authority para sa mga apektadong passenger. Again, of course, the Bill of Rights has to be respected in terms of the delays or cancellations brought about by red alerts, but we're continuously working with the industry para makapag-benchmark tayo ano ba ginagawa sa ibang airports like Singapore, Hong Kong. Do we need to buy additional equipment to mitigate the effects of lightning? Or do we need to enhance some of our sensors para mas maggumanda ang ating forecasting system? So yun yung mga inaayos natin ngayon, and each day nakikipagtulangan naman yung buong industriya. So it's not just the airport working on this, it's the airlines also helping us kasi it's also affecting their operations.
And it's also a factor that may red lighting alert, and it's also dependent on the size itself kasi you're talking about the radius, di ba?
Correct.
So,
yes.
ano ba, what's again going back? Ano ang mukha ng NAIA dapat in the succeeding decades perhaps? Considering this and of course, I mean climate change, we'll never know what the climate will look like in the next decade or two. And we need to, I suppose, naka-integrate yan sa plano.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, going back to from flying somewhere else to going back again, kung papunta sa airport, kumusta ang what LTO is doing?
Well, again, we're a regulatory body, no? But currently, sabi ko nga, the secretary told us, ibigay ang number 1 public service In fact, my colleagues here is doing that as well, no? It's not as easy as we always say, but kaya naman po, no? With all and everything, hand-in-hand in cooperation, lahat ng personnel and interagencies, no? So sabi ko nga kanina, ang LTO, pagbibigay ng serbisyo sa publiko, bibigay din namin tulad ng plaka at ng lisensya. It's actually a very bold statement to say today kasi parang wala ata tayong narinig na ganito na may kulang kami, bibigay namin agad. But I am very sure and 100% sure that we will give the license and the plate numbers by August. Nasa inyo na po lahat yan. Including lahat nung na backlog na sinasabi na nabayaran at hindi namin nakuha ang plaka. It's actually all accounted for, and we're creating a microsite for that, which we will announce to the public through, of course, sa inyo rin, sana, no? Matulungan kami dyan para malaman nila na ang plaka nila ay available, ang plaka nila ay saan kukunin, at nandun na rin po yung kailangan ng mga na instructions para maklaim nila yung plaka, replacement plate nila. So we are addressing that. I think it's about 6 years problem already.
I think more than.
More than.
More than.
So, we're addressing it. Sabi ko nga, balik ako na systems are being in place to serve the public better, to serve them 100%, na mabigay namin ng serbisyong publiko, as well as my colleagues here for the airport and rail, and yun na nga po ang utos sa atin ng secretary, na ibigay sa kanila yung dapat. Yun po.
And I guess just to wrap up this interview, 1 year pa lang si President Marcos, but I want to ask you, all the three of you, kung anong vision you by the end of this term, if you yourself, anong contribution you in this administration, any goals in particular that you want to hit, or
For the agency.
projects in particular that you're what's the word? Promising?
Ako right now, no, from the Land Transportation Office or LTO, we currently, no, masasabi ko na we are on track in delivering what is due to the public, license and plates, no. But add to that, we're also doing the stringent standardization for under road safety para doon sa mga driving schools. Stringent medical examination para doon sa requirement ng pagre-renew natin sa publiko na kailangan magkaroon ng medical examination. This is in fact a tall order from the President through the Secretary na ang lisensya ay dapat paghirapan, hindi naman paghirapan, but you have to earn to get a license. No?
And that's safety.
And that's because the road safety data that we have right now speaks for itself. Marami po tayong aksidente na hindi lingid sa kaalaman ng publiko na napakarami po. That's why sabi ko nga, once we install the systems and then we get the data from interagencies such as MMDA, masasabi natin on how effective the programs would be in curbing deaths, in curbing accidents. Down. So yun po. Yun po masasabi ko. That's the vision for the LTO right now, for this year.
Brian?
Yeah. So I guess for the MIA, what's most important is how do we achieve in terms of delivering convenient, efficient, safe options for our passengers. So a lot of the programs that we've implemented have so far been aligned to that. Remember, we removed several systems such as the initial security screening. We're trying to reduce the queuing. Immigration channels, we've added the departure immigration and arrival immigration lane. The STAR program we implemented para mas maging efficient tayo in terms of how do we handle the passengers across our 4 different terminals. Recently, we've actually improved the conditions of more than 10,000 passengers per day when we moved AirAsia from T4. Remember, T4 is one of the most crowded terminals of Manila. We moved them starting July 1 to Terminal 2, and we can see really positive effects to the passengers that they're having more space, having more access to shops, restaurants. Talagang magiging mas maginhawa ang pagbabiyahe natin sa NAIA. So I guess for us, the best metric would not be for us to get prestigious awards in the next 3 to 4 years. It's more of how do we turn the public perception of our airports instead of a lot of people bashing our own NAIA airport.
Correct.
It's that we can say that we succeed succeeded if may time na they're the ones defending our airport. So whether it's gonna be NAIA doing it according to the program prescribed by the DOTR and eventually aided by PPP, I think we can achieve that goal in the next 4 to 5 years.
Okay. I think the question was, ano yung next,
Yeah, I mean,
for the
there
rest
is-
of the Marcos Jr. administration. Siguro balik lang natin doon sa directive of our secretary. Sabi nga ni Sec Bautista, what he envisions for Philippine transportation is for it to be world-class. And merong kinoin sa secretary na what does that mean? Serbisyong kasa. Transportation that is comfortable, that is accessible, that is safe, and that is affordable. Ang DOTR kasi may 4 sectors.
Yeah.
So siguro very quickly lang, na-cover na natin ang aviation in particular for NAIA. But syempre, we have 40 plus other airports, commercially operating airports nationwide. And together with USEC Bobby Lim, we're working not just on our main international gateway, but syempre, we have 7,100 islands. We need to make as much of that area accessible to all of our flying passengers. Sa maritime sector natin, Yusek Elmer Sarmiento, siguro one thing that not a lot of people might be seeing is the recent recertification that we got from the European Maritime Safety Association, which essentially safeguarded the jobs of hundreds of thousands of seafarers. The Philippines is the largest supplier of seafarers in the world. And while baka kasi hindi siya napapansin kasi hindi siya infrastructure, diba? Hindi siya NAIA na pinupuntahan ng mga tao, but hundreds of thousands, 600,000 I think families times an average family size of 5. That's a lot of people benefiting from that. And we're working, our maritime sector is working very hard to keep that certification to protect the jobs of our constituents, of our people into the next years ahead. Of course, we have our rail sector with USEC Cesar Chavez. We currently have a massive railways pipeline. The 147-kilometer north-south commuter rail is in construction, full swing, from Clark International Airport to Calamba. You can get from Clark to Calamba in less than 2 hours. Our first subway, the Metro Manila Subway project, most of the contracts are already awarded and signed, and construction is ongoing. Our first 2 tunnel boring machine have crossed the 100-meter mark, so it's around 10 to 15 meters per day of tunneling, and all of the others are also coming in. And of course, LRT1 extension, MRT7, LRT2, MRT4, the PNR Bicol line, the Mindanao Rail Project, all of these and a lot more are happening in our railway sector. And of course, our road sector, currently being headed by Yusek Anlontok. One of our biggest projects, the PUV modernization. We continue to work on the PUV modernization. There are roughly 180,000 jeepneys throughout the country. We continue to modernize them, not just because safety and environment is a concern, but also to make traveling more convenient. Because at the end of the day, most people will still be traveling on road-based transport, and we really need to work on that. And
the displacement of the drivers, so how's that?
And one of the things that we are making sure of is, we have to look at all of these stakeholders. Convenience for the passengers, safety for everyone, clean air for everyone, and everyone coming after us. But we also have to make sure that the transition is just. So our road sector has developed a just transition strategy. There's an ongoing effort by our road sector teams from LTO, LTFRB, Office of Transport Cooperatives to come up with changes to the PUV modernization program to make sure that we hit all birds with one stone.
So the PUV modernization will happen under the Marcos administration?
It will continue. Yes, it will continue.
Kasi, di ba this, many transport secretaries have already attempted, di ba? PUV modernization. So, what's gonna be the different in this administration?
Siguro, aside from that focus on just transition, there was an event last July 1, attended by our President Marcos Jr., attended by our Vice President, VP Sara, attended by Secretary Bautista, and that was the loan agreement signing for the Davao Bus
Davao,
project. So you might have heard about that. That project is aiming to modernize all of the 8,000 jeepneys in Davao in one project. So I guess your question was, is PUV modernization going to happen or be completed in this administration? Well, if Davao Bus can show that PUV modernization can be done in 3 to 4 years using the model that we're using in Davao, then perhaps we can achieve the same nationwide.
So that will be the an image on how it could be replicated perhaps, especially kung just yung transition kasi that's the issue talaga, di ba? People being displaced, the drivers, where will they go? So yeah. Again, very big task ahead. Ang daming natin hindi na-cover. But thank you so much for
Thank you rin. Thank
for
you.
allotting
The
time
opportunity
for this
for us
and
to speak.
answering
Yeah, thank you.
some of the burning questions that we have in the
Thank you so
transport sector. Again, DOTR officials are talagang pinaka hot seat kasi dahil ito ang nararamdaman ng mga Pilipino, me even dito sa office, di ba? Yung mga so again, thank you so much for your time. TJ Batan, DOTR Undersecretary for Planning and Project Development, Alex Uyd of the LTO, and Brian Ko of NAIA, the interim head. And I'm Ralph Rivas. Again, this has been another episode of Rappler Talk. Thanks for watching.